is, oh, my phone has decided to not connect to the internet. That's helpful. Bear with us, everybody.
All bearing.
Yeah. Matt, how are you? Just while I find this, tell me how you are today.
And well, I don't know how long. How long are we into the lockdown? I mean, sheesh! Every day blurs into the next day. I'm actually so thankful that we get to go out now without having permits. I went down to the local souk today, and I got a haircut, which is
Oh,
amazing.
ready for your live chat with us. This is awesome.
I'll tell
Um,
you, both me and my wife were dying for me to have a haircut.
awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's, at least she didn't try and do it herself. It was that, I had a moment where I looked out of my window the other day, and not that I'm being a nosy neighbor, but I saw the sort of silhouette of a wife cutting her husband's hair, and I was just like, oh, to be a fly on the wall.
Oh well, Danny, have a look at my Instagram. It did happen.
Oh, really?
Seriously. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're live on the Facebook group now. Thank you, everybody who is
Awesome.
tuning in already. Do let us know in the comments that you can hear us and see us. We just had a little technical rewire just to make sure that we are live and that this is happening for us. So we want to make sure it's happening for you guys as well. Welcome to another edition of Live at 5 with the Safe Space Social crew. Today we have the pleasure of chatting and getting to know Matt Trenchard, who comes to us today from North Point Academy, which is an epic coaching academy that's based here, but also has a sort of global representation from what I'm kind of seeing and hearing about these guys. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to hear.
Where do I start, Danny? I mean, let me just start by saying that I've been here in the UAE, and I'm guessing most of the people who are watching are from kind of in the region at least. I've been here since 2006. Came with a suitcase and a backpack and a job I was offered and landed, and now it's been 13 plus years later, and yeah, life has happened for me, at least adult life in a big way has happened for me here in the UAE. I started a company, I met and married my wife here. Yeah, so life is here.
Oh, so like a lovely story, like a Dubai success story.
Yeah, but not one of those Dubai success stories where you kind of like, oh, it all just happened and everything's amazing. Yeah, one of those maybe slow burn Dubai success stories where, you know, actually there was some real tough times, and hey, he started his company and it was all going so well for the first year, and then things happened, and yeah, learnt lessons along the way and lots of bumpiness, and we're going to get onto mental health stories as well. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Matt and I met with a couple of his colleagues at the very, very beginning. So Matt came along to our information day, which we had at Royal Coffee. Gosh, August last year.
Yeah, about that sort of time.
And that was, you know, a real opportunity for us to meet people in the community that are already doing kind of great work when it comes to supporting not just kind of mental health, but like personal development, growth, all these things attached and roll up into our mental health. So I'd like to start, if I may, Matt, so I'm putting you putting this out there. Just I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear your kind of background and why it was important for you to kind of come and get involved with you know, a mental health initiative, come and get involved with Safe Space. What was it that appealed to you, and was there any sort of personal connection that made that more of a passion, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a personal level, so I graduated from university age 20 in 2000. I'm showing my age. And yeah, less than a year after that, I was doing some voluntary service. And I think I found myself outside of my comfort zone and just found myself spiraling down into depression. Not something that I was aware of at all. And yeah, that was really my first experience of kind of the darker side, the less easy, the more difficult. And yeah, I remember at the time it just kind of felt like, man, the rest of my life is going to be like this. But looking back, it really was the beginning. It was the opening. I recognise now, well, I recognised really only shortly after that I spent most of my childhood just stuffing my emotions, not dealing with them, mostly because I really didn't have any demonstrations around me about how to effectively deal with my emotional life. And as they came out, kind of all the junk came out first. But there were a few things that helped me through. I managed to find some people who showed me love, even when I, at least in my own personal opinion of myself, was unlovable. And that had a real impact. It was like, why are these people still loving me when I think I am so bad? And yeah, kind of experiencing that selfless love, it just kind of had a way of unlocking some things. I won't say it fixed everything completely all in one go, not in the slightest. I mean, I look at myself now, and I would say I'm a more emotionally up and down person still. I have my days where I'm like, okay, yeah, today I'm just going to have to recognize that I'm not as bright and sparking and sparkling as I like to be, and that's okay. Yeah, let me just stop there.
Yeah, I think it's important. How did you kind of come across those people? Because I think there's we all know that love is a great healer in this kind of process. And again, in this topic of mental health, we do sort of find ourselves talking a lot about maybe the fluffy stuff. We talk about empathy, we talk about love now, and talk about kindness and self-compassion and all these things.
Yeah.
How was that something that was it? You stumbled across it, or was something you actively pursued?
I think I was fortunate enough to have some people who I knew, and if I look back at that time, my friendships weren't that deep, but I had some people around me who were good people and were capable of much deeper friendships and relationships than I at that time was. And one couple was the friend of a friend, another couple was someone from church, and it was just like these were people who had the emotional depth and were able to be in my space when most other people couldn't.
Sure.
It's like I could be. I mean, even now I can experience the other way around. Like if someone's quite depressed, they can like suck the energy and the air out of a room. But these are people who are like, even though you're doing that, Matt, I'm okay to be here with you.
Yeah.
And it's just their ability to be there in my space when I was in that place. That was a big part of it.
And that is kind of gives me a little bit goosebumps thinking about it. Of having those sort of people on your side and really finding who they are. And you sort of mentioned they were like friends of friends. I think sometimes we think, oh, it's got to be our nearest and dearest or our family members, when actually sometimes that once removed step is actually.
Yeah, I mean, Danny, actually at first it wasn't family.
Yeah.
And that's partly my story. I mean, my story was coming from a family that wasn't that emotionally, I guess, connected or aware. But actually, so now I get to a place where both myself and my sister, I won't tell her story, but have been through our own journey as well. And so now, particularly she and I are now able to have much more deep emotional conversations, able to support each other better. And so I actually think that as a result of journeys that various people in our family have gone on, as a family together, we're much more able to look after each other. Whereas back then, 20 years ago, no, it wasn't family back then.
So anybody that's kind of tuning in at the moment, we're going to talk about Matt's kind of journey with coaching, to coaching and becoming a coach, and also how coaching can be sort of really productive life in general, but also when it comes to sort of being, focusing on our mental health, how we can use coaching. So if you have any questions for Matt about coaching or about his kind of journey with coaching and anything along those lines, please drop them in the comments so we can get to some of those towards the end of our chat. So I think just one thing that I want to touch upon, and this was, we did like a panel discussion with the awesome team from Magic of Being, asking myself Helen and also Susie Curtis spoke about this, the situations that we've been through being our superpower, and being kind of now having gone through these sort of scenarios, having an even greater depth of emotion, which is, because you felt the feels and you've been through it, and now being able to kind of use that in order to be able to help other people. I'm sure, does it give you a lot of empathy now for the people that you work with?
Well, in a short word, yes. But to give it a bit more depth, yeah, totally. The things that we've been through become our superpower. To give it language that we use, we say things like the way out is through. So once you've been into something, if you don't avoid it, you go through it, you come out the other side. And other places I've heard things said like the obstacle is the way. So it's when we don't avoid the thing that's actually getting in our way that it becomes then a fruit for us. And one of the things that I've discovered is that I won't be the best coach for every single person, and nor will anyone else. And often the people who are attracted to me, for me to coach them, are often the people who are in some way something of the pattern of their personality or who they are. There's some similarity. And so it means that when I speak to them, yeah, we can relate on a deeper level because I've been through what I've been through. And then when they're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what's going on inside of you, but there's something about what you're saying which resonates more deeply with me.
And I feel like I'm speaking in Instagram hashtags, but it's like your vibe attracts your tribe.
I'll steal that, yeah.
Kind of, sort of sensing that you would be a good fit for them. So talk to us a little bit about coaching. How did you get into coaching? Were you coachy? Is that a thing?
Take it. And
were you someone that had been coached and then you got into coaching? Or what was your journey into that space?
I think, well, it began because I had a guy who was like a bit of a mentor, but like a career and business mentor at the time. And I remember him saying to me, Matt, I think you'd be a good coach. I didn't really, and I think he thought so because I've always been good at conversation and good at asking good questions. And yeah, when I joined my first coaching training, yeah, there were things that I was like, yeah, this is easy. Like, I can ask good questions. Yeah, and then there was a whole bunch of other stuff which I really wasn't so good at, like being emotionally open and available. But I think he saw in me more than I saw in myself at the time. So having a mentor was something that was really important to me at the beginning. And something you mentioned to me earlier, like you said, it's like a non-stop self-development, and actually, like on a less intensive way, it is, because every time I coach someone, not only am I present to them, I'm present to myself. I'll often come away from a session going, okay, something there got me. What was that? And I have to go away and work through it and process it. Because every time that we're shining light together on something, and this is a metaphor that we use in coaching, is that when we're coaching, we're shining the combined light of our attention on something important, normally in the other person, but there's something often that reflects back at me. Yeah. So the whole journey has been one where the more I've tried to help other people, it ends up kind of reflecting back, and I end up having more light shed back on myself, and
yeah.
So it's been a journey. It's like a 2 steps forwards and 1 step backwards, and mutual bit of a dance, and yeah. So I wouldn't say I'm at the end by any means, but it's a good journey.
Always learning, for sure. So how what is coaching in its sort of basic format? Because I think when we maybe from like childhood we think about like our netball coach or or like sports type coaching. Is it similar? Is that, how would you explain it to someone who knows nothing about?
I mean, Daniel, we're kind of coming up against the limitations of the English language here. We've only got so many words, and we use the same word more than once. So when we talk about coaching in this space, there is some similarities with like a tennis coach, but there are some big differences. We're part of what's called the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, and to use their definition, it's, to paraphrase it, it's around the fact that coaching is having conversations that are inspiring and thought-provoking and help people maximize their personal and professional life.
Okay.
And working with a coach basically means it's someone who you have that kind of conversation with. They help you to think and to discover new things about yourself. They'll normally help you to choose to take new and fresh actions. And those actions are things that you go away from one session to do. And then you bring the results of those actions or non-actions, if you didn't do them, into the next session. And it's like an ongoing rolling forwards. So the coach isn't a psychologist, they're not a therapist. They won't have any specific mental health training, but they're not there to diagnose you. What they're there to help you to do is to pay attention to the things that you're not paying attention to.
Cool. That sounds, sounds pretty beneficial, I suppose, in this aspect. But let's kind of like keep on that track of like mental health. So saying that this coaching is not therapy. I suppose being very sort of clear about that is very important, right? It's from your experience, like what's the sort of main difference between coaching or being coached and going to see a therapist, a psychologist in that instance?
Sure. Well, let me just say that I've both been coached and had therapy, and I am a coach, but I'm not a therapist. So that's kind of the space that I'm coming from. And there's a difference in what it is like to receive it, and there's a difference in what it is to be the person giving it. So a therapist, it's a much longer journey to become a therapist. You have to do a lot more studying. You're then coming from a place of expertise. You're saying, I have an expertise in the area, in some area to do with mental health, and I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Whereas the coach is really saying, I'm an expert in conversation, helping you paying attention. And actually, in the end, you are the expert. And so the difference in receiving, let me really only speak then in my own experience, is that in therapy, it's a lot more guided. I was taken to go to certain places, whereas when I'm coached, it's a lot more that I am leading the conversation as the coachee, and coach is helping me to make decisions. Okay, where do you want to go with this, and what kind of decisions do you want to make, and what are you noticing in this situation? So it's a lot more driven by me, the coachee.
No, so I can see benefits of both of those spaces, and and we talk a lot about this in our corporate programs. Like we are our own, the expert of our own mental health, and it's up to us to kind of, and this is why we're having sort of sessions like this, is to help people make an informed decision on whether coaching will be something that's beneficial to them. So if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the chat for me just now so we can grill Matt on some coaching.
I mean, Danny, a question that you're not specifically asking, but what comes to mind is like how do I choose which one I should go for? I know I want some help, but how do I choose? And it's worthwhile thinking that coaching is often about looking to the future and trying to move yourself forwards. Therapy is often around, like, there's a problem, I'm stuck, I need to dig into my past and deal with something there. And then once I'm released from that, then I'm free to move forwards.
Sure.
So that's one way to think it through. And sometimes what happens is someone comes for coaching, and in the doing of it, they realize that they are stuck. They need to go get some therapy. They get they work through it, and maybe they come back or maybe they don't. So the two can work in parallel.
Yeah, sure. That sounds like quite a sensible sort of two-pronged approach going at something that could be, quite a tricky subject within us, and kind of helping to develop that. So alluding to your question, how do we know if coaching is for us, and how do we choose a coach to work with? What's the steps that we go to do that?
I mean, a big part of coaching is what we call the coaching relationship. So it's the connection between the coach and coachee. Actually, without that connection, without that relationship, the coaching itself won't work. You need to work with someone for whom you feel safe.
Yes.
I mean, the name of this of here is safe space, and we talk about creating a safe space. One of the core competencies of coaching is the ability to create a safe space where people are able to drop their guard, to reveal themselves. Actually, it's in that revealing of myself to someone else that I reveal myself to myself.
Yeah, and almost kind of having that mirror, I suppose, in that process.
Yeah, as well. So, and then different people need different kinds of coaches. So someone may say, like, and sometimes you learn it through experience what kind of coach you need. So people who take me on as a coach, they're people often who they're quite good at moving to action, but what they need to do is slow down and pay a bit more attention on the inside. Other people are naturally more reflective, and they need the kind of coaches who need to say, hey, like, what are you doing, and how are you going to make this happen, and what are you going to? So people need a coach to help them move through the parts of themselves that they find more difficult.
What are some coaching questions that we can almost implement in our daily lives? So there's some questions that we can, from a coaching perspective, use in order to be more reflective in ourselves, almost kind of, be more aware. What would those questions be?
Well, what I can do for you, Danny, is I can teach you a short reflective tool that we use at the beginning of each of our sessions, and we call this commencement. And it's got 3 steps. The first step, and in a coaching session, we actually do this out loud to each other, but it's just as powerful just within oneself, just to kind of think about the question, answer it for yourself. So the 3 questions. The first question is, what are the objects of thought that are keeping me from being fully present?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's the emotion when I have those thoughts? And then, what do I need to do in order to be fully present?
I like those.
And those are in the order, because what we know is that how we think leads to how we feel and our emotions. Our emotions then lead to how we act, and it's our actions that lead to the impact that we get. So, I mean, and I'll use it before a meeting or something. I'll be like, okay, what's going on? Oh, okay, so I'm thinking that I'm concerned about the outcome of this meeting. Oh, okay, so that's the thought. How am I feeling? Okay, that thought, okay, is leading me to feel anxious. Okay, what can I do? Not too much. I can notice the anxiety. I can take a few deep breaths, and I can let it go. And in doing so, I become aware of the inside. And in doing so, that helps me be more present on the outside.
I think that presence. So again, we're going into lots of different sort of spaces now, where we're talking about what's good for mental health, and actually being present is kind of one of those really big things that I think always feels like quite a challenge
Yeah,
sometimes. I don't know. To
yeah,
me personally, feels a bit
yeah,
difficult, but I've got so much kind of happening, so busy in these things. Like, how is that possible? But using sort of simple tools like that actually enable us to just kind of remove ourselves from the noise that's kind of happening and bring ourselves into the moment. And that's kind of presence in its sort of simplicity, isn't it? I think it's not.
yeah. I mean, and it can be a bit of a sneaky thing, because like that thought of like, oh, there's so much going on. You try really hard to be present, and you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't a trying really hard thing. In some ways, noticing that you're having 1,000 thoughts, that alone helps you slow down,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it's one thought that you're having 1,000 thoughts. So often our commencement, so Sarah and I, who started North Point Academy, we use this tool every time we meet up. And often one of us will be saying, okay, my thought today is I've got 1,000 thoughts. And how do I feel? A bit scattered. Okay. And what do I need to do? I need to notice that I'm scattered. And that's it. So it's not about trying really hard to be present. And maybe I'm speaking to you, Danny. Maybe I'm speaking to someone else. Maybe I'm speaking to myself. But we've found that to be helpful.
Yeah. So anyone that's kind of listening, maybe if you want to share and put some of your kind of thoughts, your commencement process. So remind us again, Max, what is that thought or feeling?
What are the objects of thought that are currently keeping me from being fully present?
Yeah.
How do I feel?
How do I feel?
And what do I need to do to be fully present?
So
And the doing stuff, that can be, I mean, we use this in meetings. It can be as simple as, guys, I need to send a quick WhatsApp. When I've done that, I can put it aside and I can be here fully present.
sure, that's a really good one. So yeah, let us know what your kind of thought process what you've taken from that and what you can kind of apply. I'd love to see how people are sort of taking that on board, because I'm already sort of processing mine in my head and what that kind of feels like. So for sure, do tell us. Sharing is caring, team. So yeah, I want to kind of move on a little bit into how you're working now in this kind of situation. Are you offering services online? I know that you guys have a really, really cool initiative that I'd like to also talk about. In order to, as someone that has been coached and is also, I qualified as an integrative health coach, so different segment of coaching, about 2.5 years ago. I personally have felt, I've gained a lot of benefits. I think at one point I kind of had a coach for my coach. I was, everything in my life, I was trying to figure out a better way of doing those things, and that's kind of where I turned to coaching. And it was through having that experience that then led me to become a coach, because I was like, I want to learn what these people know. And I haven't necessarily done a lot of one-to-one coaching personally, but it was that sort of the thought processes that really fascinated me, and exactly like you were saying, those little tools and hacks, tricks in order to be able to, for us to be, a little bit more rational or productive or whatever it is that we kind of want to be in those spaces. So how are you kind of delivering your coaching at the moment, and how is that kind of working for you guys?
Sure. I mean, so we deliver coaching and we also teach people to be coaches. And the core, that's the core of what we do. We have an accredited program. Now, in terms of coaching itself, people have been doing online coaching for many years. So the current situation really hasn't changed that too much. It's just a lot more online coaching. What has changed is that really all of our coach training programs were a blend. They were a blend of face-to-face and on online work. And with the current situation, it's like, we can't do things face-to-face. So we had two currently running cohorts of trainee coaches, and both of those cohorts have shifted, or we together with them have shifted their programs onto online. And we've been blessed by their flexibility. And actually, we're now working hard to launch our first fully virtual coach. We call it the Certificate in Professional Coaching, or CPC for short. So our first fully virtual CPC to launch, we think probably end of May, probably beginning of June.
That's really cool.
I mean, hey, I mean, I doubt, I know I'm not the only person and the only company to be saying this, but it's like it's accelerated everything. Like anyone and everyone who's had some thought about shifting things online is now going, oh, okay, let's do it now.
Yesterday.
Yes.
For sure. And I think it has touched every kind of industry and every space. Everybody's trying to do something. I've heard like really cute instances like bakeries that are kind of putting together kind of like little care packages, and it's like the first people to sign up every day get whatever it is, kind of fun that they're sharing. So even real heavy bricks and mortar companies are just having to find ways in order to be creative right now. But I think from only from a personal experience perspective, receiving coaching online, I felt there's lots of benefits to it. I actually feel a lot more comfortable in my own space and receiving sort of information, not having to go somewhere. I get really freaked out in the roads here, so actually driving to anywhere for me already puts me into a state of affairs, and then I don't feel like I can really be as present. Whereas actually, maybe I'm in my pajamas and kind of receiving this information, I kind of in my own safe space. So I think it's something that translates super well from my perspective.
I mean, Danny, many people have said to us that actually virtual just audio can be helpful. It allows them to not have to put that mental attention on the other person visually, and they can just kind of be there and maybe walk around or look away or not have to, and then just be in their thinking more, and it helps them in some ways. I also heard, and this is this is something I never really expected, and it's the sort of thing that makes me kind of go, oh wow, this is what you get from living in this part of the world. An Emirati graduate of ours said that he was getting lots of Emirati ladies as coachees because they could do it virtually from their home and without any video. And I was like, I never really would have put those two together, but I see where you're going with this, and that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think we've had to break all boundaries where we are presently. And I never thought about the audio only. And I think it's just a sort of testament to everybody is unique and everyone has a different way of learning, everyone has a different way of engaging. You've got to find what's right for you in order to be able to really come on like leaps and bounds and apply yourself to, you know, whatever your kind of healing modality is that you're dabbling with at that time to really kind of figure it out. So sort of just trying things. It's really important. So one thing that I kind of just want to leave people with who potentially maybe haven't even tried coaching or haven't interacted with you guys before, I want to talk a little bit about your Coaching for COVID initiative. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And like we're saying, to be able to, this is what Safe Space from an information perspective is really all about, is giving you little opportunities in order to be able to give it a go, try, interact, see how it works for you. Because I think there are so many different ways that we can look at addressing things that are going on in our life that may be impacting our mental health or addressing our mental health straight up. And it's about giving those a go. So tell us a little bit about Coaching for COVID and what it is, who it's for, and how we can get involved.
Great. So Coaching for COVID came about because when the situation happened, like a lot of other people, our project stopped, our revenue dried up, and we're like, you know, we've got to do something. And we have something that we know can be helpful. And so what we're doing is that once a week on a Monday evening, UAE time 7:30 to 9:30, so it's 90 minutes, we've got a space that anyone can come to. And we use some coaching tools. We start with the commencement, which we talked about earlier on. And on one level, it's a space where people can come and they can have conversation, reflective conversation. They can share where they are, perhaps in a way and on a level that they can't do in other places. Perhaps they're on their own. You know, perhaps there's someone who's got kind of lots of, I don't know, kids or responsibilities, and it's a space where they can slow down and stop. And on another level, we bring every week one coaching tool, and there's like maybe a short description of what the tool is, and then we break it into these small breakout groups of 3, 4, 5 people, and some of those people are our alumni, so the people who have been through coaching training, they are certified coaches, and others who are not. And there's an opportunity then just to explore that tool in reflection of where you are at the moment. It's moving my and the feedback we've got is just that it's such a welcome space.
Safe space.
A safe space. Yeah, it really is a safe space.
And this is what I'm just really, you know, over the moon that as we, you know, are progressing through this unknown territory, that the people that can help are being so forthcoming with that information, with that knowledge, that, you know, and I think this is just a real testament to kind of humans and just being there for one another. It's really sort of pulled us a little bit more into line into that space, and we are like so grateful for you guys being like offering these kind of services. And I really recommend that anybody goes and checks out if like I said, it's your first ever time dabbling in coaching, being coached. If it is, like you said, just an opportunity to have some reflective conversation, which I think is also super important right now, then we're going to put the link to the initiative Coaching for COVID on the group. And yes, please get involved. So it's reminders again every Monday 7:30, and it's going to be an online webinar type platform as well. So
yeah, it uses Zoom. We ask people to sign up and register, then we send them through the link. Yeah.
Zoom, living our lives through Zoom.
Oh yeah, have you heard about this thing called Zoom fatigue?
Yeah. I'm feeling it. My eyes are like little squares.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's really awesome. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Some really lovely comments. I think Rasha is also, you know, can't see names on this platform, which is really annoying. But thank you so much for joining us, and anyone that's kind of watching on the replay as well. If you want to get hold of Matt specifically or anyone from the North Point Academy, then we're going to put the links in the comments below, so you can find both the Coaching for COVID initiative, their website, how to get in touch. And I am sure, because Matt is a really super nice guy, that if you've got any specific questions, I've asked him if he's okay with this, but I'm sure he'll be happy to help.
Totally. Danny, you can put my handles directly on there if you want to as well.
Perfect. I will do that. Thank you so much, Matt, and thank you everybody for tuning in. That was another quick rendition of Live at 5. I don't know where we got that name from. And we did a live at 5 at 6:30 last week, because we don't care about the rules. So if anybody is going to tune in, we're going to be doing another session with Sarah, who's also one of the other founder from North Point Academy. Maybe next week or the week after. We need to just figure out and get a date in the diary for that. So yes, if there is anything you guys need help with, please get in touch and let us know, and we can organise another sessions to help support you in whatever you need right now. So thank you so much, and have a good evening or good afternoon, depending on where, or good morning, depending on where in the world you're tuning in from. And we will see you all very shortly. So take care, and thanks again, Matt. You're a superstar.
Thanks, Danny.